Just launched 5:45, heading out to my first spot over on the other side of the lake. Probably take me until line's in to get there. Line's in at 6, so no idea what's going to happen. 3 trout, 2 pike, and from what I'm hearing, everybody is having trouble catching trout. So, I don't know, I guess we'll see. First ever multi-species. Let's get after them. Alright, so quick programming note. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I usually have a GoPro mounted on my chest rig that I use for narration and, landing footage and stuff like that. But unfortunately, when I got home from this trip and went to start editing, all my GoPro files were corrupted. And as of yet, I have not been able to recover them. So we're just going to have to make do with the less than great footage from my rear camera, and I'll just kind of narrate along. So here I am headed into my first spot. In multi-species, we are allowed to troll, which I'm not a big fan of. I've never really liked trolling. You don't feel the initial bite. You're not casting and retrieving. So I'm not a huge fan, but what the heck, it's a tournament. It's allowed. We got to try every advantage you can. So as you can see, I was trying to troll something there, and it was just getting fouled up, and I was not having a great time. So I abandoned that pretty quickly and just went back to my normal style of fishing. So here I am at my first spot, a little point that I had caught a pike off of in practice the day before. So I figured it's a good starting spot. Throwing a top water here, as I generally like to do early in the morning if I think it'll work. So trying a little chopo action, or I guess it's a whopper plopper, actually, same thing, but no dice on that. So after throwing top water for a little while and getting no action, switched to a white jerkbait here, which is actually what caught one in practice the day before. Tried that for a little while, no dice on that. So then I switched to a drop shot here, dropping an Elastec worm, because at Spinney you cannot have any salt or scent in your baits. So after about an hour and a half or 2 hours out at that point and not getting any bites at all, I decided to head out deeper to a spot that I had marked the day before in practice, where there was just some grass out in the middle of nowhere. Saw some fish, figured what the heck, let's give that a try. Here I'm throwing I believe a white spinner bait. Nope, that's a jerk bait. So I tried the jerk bait for a while. Nothing doing on that. What do we got here? We got a white tube now. I know the white tube is popular for the trout out there, so I was giving that a try. So clearly nothing was working, and I decided to try this VMC twitch and jig that the guy at the general store up the road told me about. Never fished one, really didn't know how to fish one, but lo and behold, on my first cast with it, boom, got thumped. And it was a big thump. So normally I would sort of edit down these long fights, but I'm just going to let this one play out in real time because it was such a crazy fight. Looks like right there I just got my first real look at it and was able to see what a big fish it really was. And it was, no joke, the biggest fish I've ever had on. I mean, you can see right there I'm pumping it like it's a tuna out in the middle of the ocean. It was just huge. Never had a fish on that big. It was pull and drag on my bait caster like I was, fighting a big smallie on light line spinning gear. Shout out to the drag on my loose reel there. I know a lot of guys, when they're fighting a fish that size, they'll use the thumb control and let off on the brake. And I've never done that. Never really tried it. So I just trust the drag on my reel, and it was holding up. It was pulling drag and doing great. And here we go with the landing. Nope, that was terrible. I'm just trying to lose this sucker. Come on, get back here. Oh, I can't believe I didn't lose him there. I'm trying to pull him backwards like that, but we finally got him. And there he is in all his glory. That's a 32-inch board. That's the longest legal board we can have in the multi-species. So even though he flops over the board, he only counts as 32 inches. But he's got to be all of what? 36, 37, 38 maybe? Monster. And here's my extremely awkward release, since I really don't even know how to handle a fish like this. I'm used to being able to lip a bass. There you go, buddy.
It's always a fun one too. I like Trinidad.
So this is just about 10 minutes later. One of the other competitors was cruising by. I decided to stop and talk for a little while. I'm still throwing that BMC twitching jig, of course. This is maybe 3 or 4 casts later. I'm just sort of letting it sink, because that's when it hit last time.
Yeah, it's not.
And then another thump, set the hook. Oh, nothing there. Bit it clean off.
Bit it right off.
I didn't use any metal leader like some people do for pike. I think that was only 14-pound line, so it's going to happen when you're fishing for pike. That was a $9 jig, so I'm going to keep a running total. That's $9 so far in lost baits. Unfortunately, I only bought one of those twitching jigs. So for a while I tried a black and blue swim jig, letting it fall, because it was the closest I had to that twitching jig, but I just wasn't feeling that, so I'm back to the white jerk bait that worked the day before. And within a few minutes of throwing that, thump, gone. Another one chomped clean off. That was a $15 Berkeley Stunner, so I'm up to $24 in lost baits.
That was jerk bait.
So here I switched over to a white spinner bait with a gold blade. I had also caught one on that in practice the day before, so I was letting it sink for a while, then slow rolling it back as close to the bottom as I could, and hooked up pretty quickly. I could tell this wasn't 36 or 37 incher, but it was still a good one. It was still pulling some drag, put up a good fight. There we go, number 2 in the net. Yeah, let's show them off to the camera. Nice one. Coming in at 23.75. Couldn't get him to touch 24. Still a good one though. Still in the same spot. Still throwing the white spinner bait. Letting it fall. Slow rolling it. And hooked up again. Feels like a pretty good one. Now this is crazy. When I get it close, there's another fish with it, and it sort of thrashes to get away from that fish and breaks me off. Dang it. See, look at this. I don't know if that's a trout or another pike with it, or who's chasing who, but in all the thrashing, it just broke me right off. And that was a $9 KVD spinner bait, so I'm now up to $33 in lost baits. Fun times. Now, luckily, I have another one of those white spinner baits, so I tie that on, and shortly after that, don't even know what happened there. Just snapped right off, went flying into the depths. Another $9 spinnerbait gone, so we are now up to $42 in lost baits. So now I had confidence in the spinnerbait bite, but I didn't have any more white with a gold blade, which is what had been working. So I tried a few colors, white and chartreuse, white with a silver blade. None of them were really working. I just didn't have the same confidence. This one I'm finally throwing is a bluegill pattern spinnerbait, which I don't think there were bluegill in here, but you know, it was still a nice looking spinnerbait, so I gave that a try for a while. And it worked. Got me number 3. Not nearly as big as the other two. This one's just a little guy. He came in at 19.5, but since we only count 2 pike, he didn't help me at all. And here's the little portrait style Instagram release. So at this point I figured I had my 2 pike. I should probably go try to target some trout. Honestly, probably an hour too late. I should have targeted trout as soon as I got those first 2 pike, but I really thought I could get another 32-incher the way it was going. So time to go find some trout. And here's my little midday update.
Midday break. Got 3 pike, but we only need 2, so I got 3 pike, no trout. But I got a monster pike, as you saw. So now I just need to find 3 trout somehow, which is going to be tough because I really have no idea how to catch trout other than by accident when I'm fishing for bass. So let's just go drag around a tube, hop a tube, throw a drop shot a little bit, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see if I can figure this out. A couple hours left. Let's do this.
So here I am dragging around and hopping a white tube. Wasn't happening. So I think I then switched to a drop shot, which I've caught plenty of trout on in the past. You know, up at Horsetooth, can't keep the trout off my drop shot. So I figured, hey, that's got to work, right? Nope, that didn't work. So I'm just kind of cruising around, trying different baits. Here I am looking for grass, not finding any. So back to the jerk bait. This was a different jerk bait. I think a silver one since I lost my white one. The pike bit it off. And here I finally found a little bit of grass, and I'm now throwing a green pumpkin tube with a little bit of purple in it rather than white. Just sort of dragging and hopping it around. And within just a couple of minutes of finding that grass, thump. Big old thump. And it was a trout, a big rainbow. Unfortunately, you can't see what happens here, but I somehow knocked him off with my net. Terrible, terrible netting job on my part. And that really hurt because trout were just really hard to come by for everybody that day, as you'll see from the final standings. So that really would have gone a long way on my bottom line in total inches. So that hurt. And what really hurt is there was only about an hour left in the day. So I tried that tube for a little while longer, but that was pretty much it. My day was done. Here I am heading back, and now let's go to the usual fast speed montage of loading up, followed by a little recap from the minivan. That's a wrap for Spinney multi-species. I did good on the pike, did really good on the pike, just couldn't figure out how to catch any trout. I had one good trout bite, but it got off at the net, as you may have seen, depending if my camera was running. Would have helped, but whatever. It was still fun. So it was an interesting experience. It was an interesting experience for sure, getting out of my comfort zone. Usually I just catch pike and trout by accident fishing for bass. It was different actually trying to target them. So spent all morning fishing shallow, which was not the deal because once I went out deep,
started slow rolling spinner bait. I was getting a bunch of bites from the pike. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but I had a couple more bites that I didn't land because they just chewed my lure straight off, just bit it clean off. I didn't use any metal leader or anything like that. So anyway, that's about it. We got red willow next out in Nebraska. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. And until next time, what is it, babe?
Get after it.
Get after them.
Get after them.
Yes.